5. I'm ready.
Hey.
Hey, New Life, welcome to our podcast. It's going to be an awesome day, I can tell already. We are going to do part 2 since part 1 was so wildly popular. So here's what we're doing. We're playing a little nativity game. I think it's invented by Jacob. It'll be coming out and board games and all sorts of things next year at this time. But for now, we are going into character. So last time we did this podcast, if you got a chance to look at it, we took the names of Herod, Mary, Joseph, the shepherds, and the wise men. We put them into a little jar here, and everybody picked one out and became that person and talked through the Christmas story. So since those 5 are off the table, we had to come up with some new ones.
And so these are out there.
Yes. Right on. So we have 5 of them, but if you count, there's only 4 of us. So one of them will not get chosen. We'll see what happens. We call it fate. Sovereign will of God. We can talk about that. So here we go. The 5 that could be chosen. You guys are going to have to help me. But we have friend of Mary.
Yeah.
Right. Just whoever that is.
We'll make that up. We have friend of Joseph.
Yeah.
Joseph.
We have Angel.
Angel. Yeah.
And it could be, I guess, Gabriel or Angel. Friend of Angel. Friend of Gabriel. Angel.
Sure.
Could be that. Whatever you decide.
Okay.
We came up with Innkeeper.
Yes.
Right? Innkeeper.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth.
Right.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So we're going to jump in right now without any further ado.
Drum roll.
I will allow Alexa to choose first.
Here we go.
Let's see who it is. Now, don't look at it.
Okay.
We will have the reveal in a second.
Okay.
Nervous.
Okay.
There we go. Coming right in.
Good
Pastor
with this.
Don.
I'm good
Keep
with
my
this.
eyes closed.
You want the top or the bottom?
I just want
Or the
one.
middle.
I just want one, he said.
Okay, I'm liking this.
Okay.
And last but certainly not least,
Nobody cheat.
We're going to go with this bottom guy.
Here we go.
Angel.
You are the angel. All right.
This is
Good.
theologically.
Okay.
I was going to say, I'm
All right, here
so
we
glad
go.
you got that.
We go here.
Oh, that's right. We got to put them on.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
So we can put them on now. We can look at them.
reveal
All
them.
right.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
So,
Put
what do you?
Mine's friend of Joseph.
Oh.
Pastor Don's a little jealous.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I have the Innkeeper.
Okay.
I'm good with this
You're
one.
good with this?
I'm real
Okay.
good with this one, yeah.
Okay.
I'm friend of Mary.
Okay.
Whoa.
Get out of here, Elizabeth.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we got friend of Mary and friend of Joseph. I think you guys are going to have to kind of start this thing a little bit because
Okay.
Mary and Joseph found out about this. And, I mean, I'm guessing there was that one person, that confidant, who they went to and they said, you will not believe what's happening. So if you were the friend of Mary, I mean, what would it be like?
Well, I'm the friend of Mary.
Friend of Mary, what would it be like? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I was just like looking at you, and you kind of look more like a Mary than you.
Okay.
Friend of Mary, what would it be
Okay.
like?
It would be like this. Number one, usually when something amazing, outstanding, unusual happens, we unconsciously just look for a precedence. You know, did it happen before? You know, and the thing is, there are examples of women getting pregnant, but they were elderly and they got pregnant through the fact that they were married to their husbands, okay? There's no precedence for a woman becoming pregnant having never been intimate with a man. There's just no example. There's nothing in history, nothing. You know, here Mary is telling her friend, and see, if Elizabeth was telling her friend, Elizabeth says, yeah, I got pregnant. Well, Sarah got pregnant. She was, what, around 90? Okay, so there's a precedence for that. And there were others who were elderly and been prayed for. Mary shows up, and there's nothing in all of history, scripture, or whatever, or lore, to suggest that a woman's going to get pregnant and she's not been intimate with a man. But, you know, there's something written in one of the prophets, a virgin is going to somehow conceive. And this debate about that term virgin, is it a young maid or is it actually a virgin? You know, but it's scriptures, it's in the Bible. But yet and still, it's not just it's hard to swallow.
Yeah.
It's just hard to
So
swallow.
can you imagine, friend of Mary?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Mary came to you and said, Don, I don't even know how to do this. I don't know what your name is. Friend, I have to tell you something. I mean, what would your first response be?
My first response would be, have you told Joseph? That's my
okay.
first response.
I like
have
it.
you told Joseph?
Yeah.
And if so, what did he say? So the assumption is that she hasn't at this stage.
Right.
That's the assumption.
Right. So we move on in the story.
Yeah.
And Mary goes, maybe with the encouragement of her friend, and tells Joseph.
Yeah.
And that is interesting, right? And so he was going to put her away privately because he was a just man.
Right.
And he hears this and he's like, I can't, I mean, I know where I haven't been there. So,
Yeah.
And so Joseph is going to go talk to his friend.
Haha.
Yeah. What do you think friend of Joseph
Joseph
would have thought at this time?
I think it'd be like, are you serious right now?
Yep.
You believe Mary? Like you really think she's not been doing it with someone else?
Right.
And you're gonna be nice to her?
Right.
I just don't support that, you know?
Yeah.
Be like, oh, you do believe her? Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you believe her?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, so massive negativity
For
going
sure.
on. Yeah.
And the thing is this. Okay, I'm a friend of Mary, and I've known Mary for years. Mary has never lied before. And Mary's always been truthful, a devout woman. You know, she didn't just all of a sudden qualify to have this done. The scriptures are clear that she was a godly woman. And so I, her friend, you know, if I'm really her friend, I know that. I'm just struggling with the facts. I'm saying, wait a minute. People don't get pregnant unless they're intimate.
Yeah.
But she's telling me she hasn't been unfaithful.
Right.
And so I'm dealing with, well, biology, 1 + 1 is 2.
Yeah.
And I'm looking in my friend's eyes, Mary, and she's saying, I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah. No. Wow.
Wow.
So-
I mean, I'm in turmoil.
So insert angel here because
Yeah.
we have a mess going on.
Yeah.
Please.
And we're coming. We're coming
right,
for you.
all right.
Ed, you got it. You're ready.
I'm ready.
Oh,
except
can't
I
wait.
wasn't because I didn't let you in. All right.
Not ready.
Okay, so I kind of have a feeling the angels, they were aware of what is going on here, and they feel, maybe, I'll guess it, they feel the pain of Joseph and the friend of Joseph and Mary and the friend of Mary, and so they are appearing. And they are saying in a dream. So Mary finds out in a dream. So you're Mary. Mary finds out in a dream from an angel. But now Joseph gets the privilege of finding out from an angel, and everything shifts. And if I was is that right?
No, it's the exact opposite. Joseph finds out in a dream, but Mary has a direct encounter with an angel.
Right.
Joseph's the one that finds out in the dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there? Okay. So was there no angel that went to Joseph? Okay.
Well,
Okay.
you know, you can say he appears in a dream.
Yeah.
That's an angel appears in a dream
Okay.
and tells Joseph,
Yeah.
take her to be your wife.
Yeah.
But Mary didn't have to dream. I mean, she has this direct encounter.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I'm on board with that.
Okay.
But I'm thinking from the angel's perspective, like, I have got to go help Joseph out here. Like, he's going to make a mess right now.
Oh, yeah.
He's going
Situation.
to put her away. Things are going to happen. You know, it's like, I'm in. And God allows her, tells the angel to go, and the angel goes and has that conversation. If it were me and I was an angel, which, maybe, I have never been called that. But if I was an angel, I think I would be super excited to go tell Joseph that it's okay. It's from God.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, we all are okay. The months happen,
Yeah.
and we take a trip from Nazareth to Bethlehem. Busy place. Tell us about Bethlehem.
It is a busy place, especially around this time. We hadn't had Christmas yet. It had not technically been invented, as I'm just recalling that since it was coming out of my mouth. But it was a busy time, and also it was. I'm going to assume it was really cold. I'm remembering back; it was very cold. So there were a lot of people who needed to be inside, and it was a busy place. It was a hot spot for people to be. I think lots of trading,
taxes. Yeah, everybody's there to pay taxes.
Yeah, it was a metropolis.
Yes.
Like it was a city a lot of people were in. It is, I swear. I live there and I work there as an innkeeper. But it was a big deal, and so a lot of people were in my inn. And so when these two people, this pregnant woman, which. Personally, I don't love. Secondly, pregnant woman and man who have been traveling.
I see what's happening.
Right.
Shoving out the pregnant.
Get out.
There's no room here.
Exactly. So they come to my door, and really and truly, I mean, I would have loved to help them, but there really just was no place for them to be. I couldn't let them in. And really, my place in this story kind of. God used me, the innkeeper, myself, as a way to put baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph in a place that has a lot of significance now to the story of Jesus because they weren't able to come into my inn, so they were pushed into a manger, into a very lowly, in a very dirty place where the king of the world was born. But I had no clue. I just didn't have room for them. I also didn't want them. It was kind of a lot. So that's what happened in Bethlehem that night. And I wish I could have helped them. And had I known that that's who that was, I wish somebody would have told me. I probably would have given them a little VIP access. But I didn't know. Nobody told me. Right. I'm not even really sure they knew at the time how much significance what was about to happen was.
Well, it stands to reason you could have even just held out and not checked that room to this other family. You could have said, no, the inn is full, and had you known, I'm reserving this room for Mary and Joseph. Had you known, but you didn't know. Right. And that's part of the intrigue. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
The full story and what's going to eventually happen. I mean, we know now because we can look in history.
Yeah.
I'm a friend of Mary, and Mary's come to me. She's been my friend for years.
Right.
I've loved her, and we've talked and what have you. And here she comes and gives me this news, and for the first time in our relationship, I'm looking at her sideways. What?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So back to the innkeeper a little bit. I'm curious, what did your inn look like? I mean, just out of curiosity.
Is this a 5-star hotel?
This was not your typical run-of-the-mill 5-star inn.
So right. No maternity room, huh?
Definitely no maternity room. Okay. No maternity room, because I don't think there were a lot of pregnant women. Honestly, maybe that's what it was. Maybe I knew for a fact that there wasn't any room. We also couldn't help them. Like there wasn't anything for them. There wasn't a space for them. Yeah. Anyway, it was a good one, though. It was a nice inn.
Pretty good.
People like to be there. Great hospitality. Lovely owner.
Right. See, I don't remember. Like, I've been to a lot of Christmas pageants and a lot of Sunday school programs.
Have you, Angel?
And yes, I have. And the innkeeper is always this grumpy, angry person. There is no. So you're actually a pretty happy person, and you kind of break the mold of what I had thought the innkeeper would be like. So.
I mean, you're right. I think if we look back into what was written about me, there's not like a ton of proof for my inflection. I guess it may be how I told them that they couldn't come in. So the fact that like some people are like, oh, you can't come in, might have been angry. I'm remembering back, and I think it could have just been because there wasn't any space, and God just did something with that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward a little bit because I want everybody to share something.
Let's move on.
I think everybody's going to have a perspective. So Jesus is born. The angels go to the shepherds, and that was an awesome moment, in my memory, if I was an angel. Yeah. Just to tell them all, like, I love the shepherds. I love that they're common people, and to be able to, like, get out there and sing and all this stuff would be amazing. So Jesus is born, and word starts to spread. Something's big. Yeah. So I am guessing the friend of Mary and the friend of Joseph, now the story starts to come to fruition, and you look back and you're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. So what would you think a year or two even after this, if you were the friend of Mary, the friend of Joseph, and the innkeeper? Because you probably found out what happened in your inn or in the stable below the inn or wherever that ended
around the
up.
corner.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, most things I've seen, it was like kind of in the basement, but it was a walkout.
Okay. For sure. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, here we go. So what would it be like? I mean, just in retrospect, if you were a friend or the innkeeper, anybody can go here. What are your thoughts?
Are you assuming that as a friend of Mary that I now understand that she bore the Christ child? That I understand that?
There's a greater understanding. I mean, because...
So I'm still not believing that because Joseph, once he accepted Mary as his espoused wife, he's responsible for her pregnancy in the eyes of people. But you're saying that it's more than that. That I actually now understand that there was something supernatural that did happen.
Well, he took on humanity, but he was also divine.
Yes.
There had to be something unique about this baby.
Okay.
All the shepherds are coming, right?
They showed up. Yeah.
So they know that for a fact.
Right.
There are wise men that eventually show up. There are these signs that are happening. So you guys are like, maybe this is the Messiah.
Yeah.
So now what are you thinking looking back after he's born, maybe a year or two into it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. It's actually a question.
Yeah.
I think that's
What am I thinking?
Okay, Lexi's got it.
Okay.
I feel wisdom pouring out of this.
Here it comes.
I think I'd still be a little skeptical and be like, okay, so Joseph, I get it. You had this kid and you had this dream where, now you believe Mary. And now you have like a 1 or 2 year old who's just a kid. He probably looked just like a normal kid. It's like, I'm hearing all these things, but maybe I wasn't there to see it. I didn't see the shepherds. I didn't see the wise men. Maybe I saw the wise men. But like, how am I supposed to know that he's actually like the Messiah?
That's a good question. Good point. A good perspective.
I doubt he looked like Joseph.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't even. I have never thought of that before.
Yeah.
New thing. This is a fun thing. So okay, that's good.
Okay.
What about you guys? I mean, just looking back on the experience of the nativity as we see it in the stable now, like a year or two later. What's that like?
Okay. Now the friend of Joseph is still skeptical. Let me jump the fence and let me say that the friend of Mary is somehow convinced that this was a supernatural event.
Okay.
I'm just going to take that perspective just for a moment. I'm sitting around thinking, man, that could have been me. But God didn't choose me. He chose Mary. I mean, obviously, I'm a dude, and, but wow. And I'm beginning to wonder, why didn't he choose me? And maybe he couldn't have trusted me. Maybe I would have flipped out if an angel had approached me and proposed something. I mean, because there was something about Mary that attracted, the Godhead to say, "Okay, Mary, we're gonna do this, and you're the one who's going to be the vehicle for this to happen." And, he chose Mary.
Yeah. You think you might have been a little jealous?
Yeah. I mean, I have a wife, and he didn't choose my wife.
So as the friend of Mary, you're a guy friend.
Well, yeah.
Because I was thinking maybe... Very unlikely. Yeah, that would be unlikely.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe you were more of a girlfriend, even though...
Like bestie.
It's just, I've never played that girl.
I know. It's good. We're getting into this.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Innkeeper? I mean, if you were to look back on it and be like, okay, this was quite strange. They came. There's all these people. There was a lot of activity going on. And now the rumors start to go through Bethlehem. Like, did you what happened down there? And as an innkeeper, I'm guessing you're kind of like in the middle of the conversation in the city. You hear people coming in and out. What are your thoughts afterwards?
Well, so here's the deal. So obviously, as they came to the door, I just thought they were regular people because they were regular people, even still. But yeah, I mean, I heard about the birth of this baby. And again, I don't really know at the time what my spiritual background was as an innkeeper. I have no clue how I was raised, but I was living in Bethlehem. So it's possible that I would have known something about who God was and that this was something that was to happen, that there was supposed to be a birth of Messiah coming. So I would assume that's possible, even if I didn't believe it or follow it. Ooh, COVID. Not then. Anyways, okay. So all that to say that, as the years kind of went on, I think even a few years later, even when the wise men came, I mean, there was a lot, I think, that as Jesus began to grow up, nobody really knew if it really was him or not until he kind of got to the age where they were seeing him be portrayed as this person who might be equal with God. You know, when you saw him in the temple, and I wasn't there, but, you know, hearing about it from far. So, I mean, I think even up until, I'm going to say I was a really young innkeeper, and so I was still alive 33 years later when Jesus went to the cross, just for the purpose of this conversation that I'm having with my friends and the angel of God. Such a random group of people. And so, I think up until then, I probably was confused because I'm the one who kicked Jesus to the streets, and understanding kind of at this point that it's like, man, if I would have known who that was, what would I have done different? And I think that kind of is a question that I could ask a lot of people, that it's like, if you would have actually believed that he was who he said that he was, but would you have turned your back on him still? Would you have kicked him to the streets, for lack of better words? You know?
That's a profound insight, because we could spend our lives, you know, saying, well, man, if I had only known, if I had only known. And how many times we've missed an opportunity to shine for God. If I had only believed, I could have said something to that person. You know, the what ifs. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're pretty much out of time here. This was a great conversation.
Already?
Kind of interesting.
Whoa.
I know, it just went like that so fast. So, man, and I think the points are there. And for us, it's like, you know, how many times do I ignore the signals God is sending to me? How many times do I ignore his voice, even though it might not be an angel, but it might be through his word? And so as we go into this nativity time, the Christmas time of year, I think it's so important for us to really ponder what happened at that time and the significance of God taking on flesh and coming to earth. So,
can I quickly say something? I want to take you back to Joseph in the Old Testament. And Joseph was sent to prison because he was accused of an attempted sexual assault. And now come back up to Mary and Joseph. The question arises, can God trust us to do something out of character? Can he? I mean, back to Joseph. I mean, here this guy is, he's a young guy, and he's serving Potiphar and doing all the right things. And Potiphar's wife is a salacious woman who's pursuing him, and he will not violate his convictions, his character. As a result of that, he ends up in prison. And it says, but the Lord was with Joseph. It's a stark passage, but the Lord was with you. He's in prison. Do you know what Joseph was accused of, God? He was accused of a sexual assault. Come on, God. But the Lord was with Joseph. And how that hits me. I mean, God approaches Mary and Joseph and does what he does there. Can God trust me to do something that is out of character? Something that is totally unexpected. Am I willing to be embarrassed in order to be obedient?
it's a good word. We'll have to do another podcast on Joseph in the Old Testament.
Yes.
Not to be confused with Joseph or the friend of Joseph in the New Testament.
Exactly.
Or the friend of Mary.
Or the innkeeper Joseph. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Hey, if you're watching this before Christmas Eve, I hope you can jump on at 5, 7, or 9 and watch our Christmas Eve service. We certainly want to point everybody to Jesus and worship
it's gonna
him
be
and
cool.
have a great time to do it together.
For sure.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.